What's going on, guys? It's Snoo603, and joining me today is FakeThriller.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about the China Rising DLC maps. Just the maps specifically. We're not going to cover the weapons or anything else that may or may not have come with it. Specifically the weapons, we're going to keep those for the Battlefield 4 weapon reviews that we do. We're not going to touch them at all. We're just here to talk about the maps, how they play out, what we do or don't like. I'm going to let FakeThriller lead it off with what he thinks thus far of the maps from China Rising.
Well, just to remind those of you who may have forgotten, and for formality's sake, we will let you know that the 4 maps are Silk Road, Alti Range, Guilin Peaks, and Dragon Pass.
Guilin Peaks?
Yeah, I call things by the way they look. Call it as I see it. Apparently, if you pull up your Google translator, it's supposed to be Guilin or something like that for Guilin Peaks, but anyway, overall, I personally like these maps. There are a couple that I find, well, one that I find to be less than lackluster, one that randomly I haven't had much of a chance to play on, and then the other 2 I really enjoy. And the one that I personally am not that much of a fan of is Dragon Pass. And just starting off with the color is very bland and depressing and everything, but every match that we seem to play on it becomes really disjointed and not like, it doesn't feel like a real match. Like, it feels like everyone's just screwing around doing random stuff. So what do you think of Dragon Pass?
Dragon Pass is actually my least favorite map of this, and the main reason why is, for those that have played it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Those that haven't played it, you're going to try and visualize it here. If you've seen any pictures of it, there's like these massive boulders in the middle of all the maps, but they're almost like mountains, that's how big they are, but they just look like a big ugly-ass boulder with like random trees and grass kind of growing on it. And almost dead center in the map when you're playing Conquest. And from this point, if you're at the top of this boulder, you've got an overview of almost the entire map. You can get up on top of that. And the only problem with that is that I've played this, I don't know how many times I actually played this map, but the majority of them has had a squad sitting up on top of that rock doing nothing but spamming anti-air missiles. Now, there is nothing wrong with that in and of itself until you understand the context of it. Now, if, say on our team, we had like a beast scout chopper player, and he was up there just wrecking people, and then the enemy team decided to counter that by getting up on the boulder and doing their thing. Okay, that's totally fine. But that hasn't happened once in any of these games. It's just these guys get the scout chopper, they run straight up there, they set up the respawn, the recon beacon when they get up there, and they, of course, they just taxi the transport chopper up there, and they just sit there and they spam and spam and spam anti-air missiles. But it's not done as a reaction. It's done as a, well, I don't want a PTFO, so I'm just going to sit up here and be a dick the entire time. Under that context, it's annoying. But that's the only way it's happened for me personally. So, like, just Dragon Pass, terrible, terrible taste in my mouth. And I fuck that map. Is really how I feel. Fuck that map in particular.
Yeah, so I to reiterate what I was saying was, it feels like it's too big. There's too many vehicles, if you can imagine that actually being a problem. Is like everybody's off doing their own things. Silk Road, I actually haven't had much of a chance to play, just through the sheer random luck. I haven't been given that map very often. So Snoop, why don't you talk about Silk Road?
It's actually kind of funny because Silk Road is probably the most boring, well, designed map out of the 4 maps. I wouldn't say it's the most boring looking because the colors are pretty bright. I mean, you're in the desert, it's the middle of the day, so high sun. Everything's very, very well lit. But as far as structure or cover, call it whatever you want, there's really not a lot to speak of. But I still really like it because there technically is structure. There's a lot of small elevation changes. Big sand dunes here and there. There's a couple of, quote-unquote cliffs where it's just higher ground that you can get up on, that you can overlook some of the flags and whatnot. And that's kind of cool. I like that, but none of it's overdone. So that getting over all these humps and these, minor elevation changes, they're big enough that you can hide a vehicle behind it, but they're not too big that you can't quickly drive over it, which is nice. So there's actually a lot of ground vehicles on it, and I like that because you can use all that cover, just the elevation changes, as cover. And it makes the game play kind of unique compared to other maps that we have in this game. I like it for that matter. Like I said, I mean, it's boring. You're driving around the freaking desert, but it actually plays really fun. And it's one of my It's not my favorite map, but it's up there. Every time it comes up, I'm like, okay, I like this. This is a good map, and I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah, I can't speak too much to how the game actually flows on that map because As I said, I haven't played it very much. However, the look of it, in terms of brightness, like Snoo was saying, and colors and the clarity is like, that's one of the things I look for the most in maps, is if they look good and it's visually pleasing to experience with your eyeballs, then that always gives it a thumbs up in my book. So Silk Road, I think once I put a little bit of time into it, as long as it doesn't suck some secretive way, then I'm probably going to get a good feel for it. Now, the two that I like the most are Alti Range and Guilin Peaks. And let's talk about Alti Range first, and we'll save Guilin Peaks for after. Personally, I think Alti Range is great. It feels like a classic vehicle map in Conquest. I've spent almost like the entire time since China Rising has come out playing nothing but Conquest. And that gives you the biggest idea of what the map has to offer, because it's literally the biggest game mode there is. So it feels like a classic vehicle conquest map. But in particular, the flag points are places where infantry can thrive as well. So it has like a good balance to it, in my opinion. Plus it has some cool stuff like the bomber and all that stuff that are worth fighting for.
Yeah, you actually hit the nail right on the head. There's the very, very good balance between, specifically talking about Conquest, how well it plays for vehicles and for infantry. Obviously you need the vehicles to get around from flag to flag, but you know, that's not a problem. They have plenty of quads and ATVs. Actually, sorry, I realized I said the same thing. I meant dirt bike. I don't recall if there are quads on there. I think it's just dirt bikes. Yes, it's dirt bikes and the Jeeps, or the buggies, whatever. The C4 Jihad Jeeps.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's plenty of those to get around from flag to flag, which is nice. And it's pretty big without being overly big. The only knock I have to give it is, for some reason, when you're driving up the roads, to go to either C or D. It's the same flag point, kind of at the top of the mountain in the middle. I guess it depends on if you're playing Conquest or Conquest Large as to what flag that specifically is. But you know what I'm talking about for anyone that's played on it. For some reason, driving up those roads, your vehicles move just unbearably slow, like especially the lavs.
Yeah.
And that gets really annoying. But I mean, other than that, it is, like exactly what you said. It's a great map. It's got great balance, and it has that classic Battlefield feel to it.
Right. And that leaves the final map, which is my personal favorite, in Guilin Peaks. And this is the map that it looks like a flashback to Vietnam, and the overall flow of it, and this is why it's my favorite. There is only dirt bikes, ATVs, and a scout chopper for each team. So there's no tanks, there's no LAVs. There is a bomber run that can come through, but other than that, there's no planes or an AC-130 or anything, so it forces infantry engagements all over the map. The flags are all close enough to where you can reasonably run from one flag to either of the two that are next to it on foot without wasting too much time or risking getting shot by some random sniper. And every flag point has decent terrain. Not only every flag point, but the main roads from one flag to another also have good terrain to where you can set yourself up to do well just as infantry. So it rewards smart play and it rewards skilled play, and on top of everything else, it's bright and it looks nice.
Yeah, I look at Guilin Peak as a miniature / condensed version of Alti Range. It's actually built pretty much the same with a few differences. I mean, you've got your center flag that is in the middle of the map, and everything flows uphill to that middle point. But the difference is there's also like another ring of mountains that go, you know, kind of like around like the 1/3 point. So in the middle, where the middle flag is, it's actually like a tunnel. So you're at a peak, but think of it as a really small circle because you can play underneath the very, you know, middle of the map. And there's like another line of mountains that go kind of around like that outer third, if you will. So you've got the whole outside ring or outside edge of the map you can play, and you move in past that ring of mountains. You can play that mid third, and then there's the, you know, the dead center third of the map. And again, it all plays uphill from the outsides in. And I've played all the game modes on it. Actually, I haven't played Rush, but I've played Obliteration, Domination, Conquest, and Conquest Large on it. And all 4 game modes, I guess Conquest and Conquest Large are the same, but all 4 of them are great. And I like that, exactly what you said, the fact that it's really, really good for infantry only. So if that's kind of your thing and you're not really, whether you just don't like the vehicle aspect or you're not in the mood for it, Guilin Peaks is a great map that you would definitely want to put some time in on. It is really, really enjoyable, and definitely my favorite map out of this DLC as well.
Plus, I'm a beast on it.
Yeah.
Slap on a suppressor. Listen, if you slap a suppressor, a flashlight onto a PKP, and you go in that cave, you're gonna kill some bitches.
Dude, it's not even funny. Like, it's, you just walk through like, oh, this is easy mode.
Yeah, like I didn't even know there were other people playing. I thought this was the test range.
I'm OP.
Anyway, the final point that I wanted to make about this whole DLC map pack is the interesting absence of Levolution, and I actually feel like that is a positive thing, which doesn't bode well for the lifespan of BF4 as a whole, but that's a topic for another day. But I feel like it's just you go into any one of these maps and it is what it is. Like, there's no storm that comes in, there's no trees that fall down on you, or buildings or anything like that crash the server. So overall, my experience has been good, and I would give the new maps, I guess, 3 out of 4 stars, because I like 3 of them.
Whoa, 4. Come on, we do everything on a 5-star rating here. Back it up, try again.
Well, then I guess I'll give it a 4 out of 5. And just knock points off for not really enjoying Dragon Pass very much. But actually, that could improve.
It could, and by the way, 4 out of 5 is a better percentage than 3 out of 5. Or, sorry, 3 out of 4.
Right, and that's fine.
But you said you're knocking points off. Which is it, sir?
Listen, I don't need you questioning every move that I make. It's a 4 out of 5, but it could increase, and the map could change depending on the vehicle balance changes that will inevitably happen in the future. And I think that's something to keep in mind, that the game can change. Even though the maps don't change, the game can still change around the maps, making them better or worse. So, we'll see.
Yep. As for my thoughts, I mean, yeah, like I said, the only map I really don't care for is Dragon Pass, because it's just left a bad taste in my mouth. I feel like, I mean, realistically, I probably got like a 1 in 10 chance of going in there and having that issue of those rock campers being up there and ruining the flow of the game. And okay, whatever, but I just... when they do it, it just completely destroys any fun in that map, so I'd rather not deal with it. So myself, I can confidently, I'd give this a 4 out of 5. I enjoy 3 out of the 4 maps, so one map I could completely deal without, but the others, 2 thumbs up. I really enjoy them, especially Guilin Pass. I guess at this point, if I had to recommend it, I would say, yes, I recommend that you purchase this DLC. It is enjoyable enough, even minus the one map that I don't like, that I would be willing to pay for this again.
I think that's pretty much it. If you guys wouldn't mind leaving your thoughts on the maps in particular in the comments down below, it would be interesting to see overall what people think. And we'll see you guys in the next video.